back in the herd, they say one thing, but they're doing another. Remember the New York Giants? We did not sign Odell Beckham to trade Odell Beckham. Why did guys like Jay Glazer keep going on the air and saying they're going to trade him? Don't believe Gettleman. The Houston Rockets, Chris Paul and James Harden get along great. These rumors are outrageous. And then they traded him because they didn't get along. Folks, what an organization is selling the masses sometimes is true, and a lot of times it's not. It's my job, not your responsibility, to figure out when there's a bunch of BS. I've been saying for the last 2 to 3 years, everybody in Oklahoma City with half a brain knew that Westbrook can't be your number one guy. You can't build around him. You got to get out of that contract. Well, we find out now Oklahoma City wanted to get out of that contract. According to Kevin O'Connor at The Ringer, very well-sourced, smart guy, that Sam Presti, the GM of Oklahoma City, would not admit it. But he said a rival executive, Sam's way too smart to not know the team had reached its ceiling with Westbrook. The second point is Kawhi's recruitment gave OKC an out. Because the minute Paul George said, I want to go, you could trade Westbrook then without all the backlash. Oklahoma City's a small town. They'd lost Harden. They lost Durant. It is very difficult for the Memphises. You see this a lot of times in all sports. The small market, they get their star. I mean, you can't criticize Cam Newton in Charlotte. But you can go to New York and L.A. and Chicago and Dallas, and Dak Prescott gets ripped in Dallas. They've got a hockey team. They've got an NBA team. They've got a baseball team. They got major university. It's a big, broad, sophisticated Dallas sports market. You can rip a star. You can't rip Cam Newton despite his inconsistency in Charlotte. And OKC is small, and they put their arms around Westbrook, and they'd lost KD and Harden. It was like, don't take our guy. Everybody knew inside the building. And I'll give you the reason why. NBA fires coaches nonstop. I mean, good God. Dwayne Casey wins Coach of the Year in Toronto. He got the trophy next door at Starbucks as he found out he got fired. They fire everybody. Yet Billy Donovan, OKC, can't win games in the first round with the highest payroll or second highest payroll in the league. And there's never been a rumor. You can't find a story. Billy Donovan's never in trouble. How is that possible? How is Billy Donovan exempt from this vicious NBA coaching cycle where competent people get run because of bad owners and pressure? And Billy Donovan can't win a first-round series. Hell, he can struggle to win a first-round game. There was never a rumor. With the second highest payroll. Because the GM, the owner, the coach, they all knew Westbrook's a talent. We got to move off this contract. If he's our number one guy, now maybe he can be your number two in Houston, but you can't win when your number one guy is Westbrook. And he's difficult, and he's brutal with the press, and he's rigid, and he won't change. And Billy Donovan never, ever, ever has been in trouble, and he can't win games in the first round of the second highest payroll. That's telling you that the owner and the GM, they're all in on it. They all knew, and this gave them the out to move. And by the way, and I've said this before, I get small markets. You know, they couldn't criticize Westbrook because it's harder for small markets. I read a story this morning. Westbrook had so much power in the organization, they gave it to him, that he was literally dictating terms on media policy. Oklahoma City is the only team that wouldn't allow pregame interviews because Westbrook didn't like him. Why? I mean, Miami didn't allow D-Wade to do that, and D-Wade's got titles. D-Wade's a better player than Westbrook in his prime. Why? Because it's Miami. A lot of people want to play in Miami. Aqua water, beach, no state tax, Pat Riley. So Miami's never going to hand the franchise to even D-Wade, who, next to Dan Marino, or maybe more than Dan Marino, is the biggest star in any one city in America. Seriously. Like Dan Marino and D-Wade own Miami in sports. They didn't hand the franchise to D-Wade. He wasn't dictating policy. But Westbrook was dictating policy because Oklahoma City knows we don't get stars, just like LeBron in Cleveland. You can see it. You can set the media policy. I mean, literally, Westbrook would often dictate, according to a story I read this morning, when they flew in and out of towns. Like, we're not going to stay the night here and practice here. We're going to go somewhere else. What? That's what LeBron did in Cleveland. Why? Because it's Cleveland. Westbrook did it in Oklahoma City. Why? Because it's Oklahoma City. The Lakers love LeBron. They're not going to let him totally dictate the franchise. I mean, the Yankees love their star players. It's the Yankees. The Cowboys love their star players. It's the Cowboys. It's the Steelers. It's the Packers. You can't dominate the team. Can't dominate the franchise. Westbrook was allowed to do it, but they all knew the con inside of the game, which was you can't win with him. You can't win in the playoffs. He's exhausted by the time the playoffs come. Analytically, he doesn't work in the NBA today long term, and he's hard to play with at times. Houston, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But it's not his city now. It's not his franchise. It's James Harden's franchise. And James Harden's better than Westbrook. But this story with Presti is, it's really funny where they all knew the game. But what you're sold as the public is many times the truth, but sometimes it's not. Gettleman wanted out of OBJ for 2 years. They wanted out of that for 2 years. Chris Paul and Harden, I know you think it's all fake news. They didn't get along. That's why they moved them. They didn't get along. And by the way, Westbrook, they knew. What they told you, they knew. They weren't going to blast them publicly, but they knew. Joy with the news. No.